No, but I'm going to snort.
You can join my husband in that. Snorting on the way.
It's an Arkansas thing.
Welcome to the Author's Edge radio show with Guy L. Freer and Bob Price. Now, their show airs nationwide on the My Genre Radio Network, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Each week on their show, they help authors create books that transform our lives and imaginations. Through radio excellence, they create a unique community resource, one that promotes, connects, and fosters a sense of well-being. Gael and Bob maintain a focus on sharing books, publishing, marketing, and writing solutions. They serve listeners by providing outlets for their creative skills and energies, and they help them flourish in the competitive marketplace. Their weekly show provides intros, writing spotlights, helps you in promoting your book, your writing, your publishing, your marketing tidbits, and much more. Okay, audience, here's Gael and Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Why, hello. You're back from your worldwide trip?
I've been back for a while. You just finally noticed?
Well,
What?
The last time that I was with you, you blew out the back tire.
I did not blow out the back tire. I sat in the front. Your friend sat in the back. He
Yeah.
blew out the back tire.
Yeah, well,
And then somebody else blew out the air conditioning. So we weren't here for 2 weeks.
I guess that's right.
Yeah. Air conditioning and blown tires. I don't know.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, but welcome back.
I haven't been gone. You've been gone.
Oh, no, I've been
Your
here.
tire is the one that blew us out.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So who do we have today, Bob?
We have Leah Brewer.
And
And
I think you already know Leah Brewer's family.
well, we kind of had a little reunion.
Oh, reunion is it?
Yeah. Come to find out, we're old Gosnell, Arkansas people,
Oh, wow. And where is that exactly?
right near Blytheville,
And where is that exactly?
right near the state line.
What state?
Arkansas.
Arkansas?
No, Arkansas.
Sounds more like Arkansas.
Let's put it this way. You're not a Razorback, are you?
No, I am not.
Okay. But Leah is a multi-genre author who focuses on writing clean books with a purpose. When she's not writing, you can find Leah reading or working behind a computer in her telecommunications job she's had for over 28 years. Even though her writing started out as a hobby, it has quickly become a passion. She recently submitted Petunia 1949 as a contender for the North Street Book Prize, which will be her first contest. Leah spends her spare time with her husband, Mark, their grown children, their new granddaughter, Charlotte, and if she's not on the beach, she's dreaming about when she can be. Well, the only beach near Blytheville was a Mississippi River.
Oh,
No.
that doesn't sound. It's
But
the
What
muddy,
beach are you going to, Leah?
the muddy Mississippi.
So, Pensacola Beach.
All right.
That's
Oh.
my favorite.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's supposed to be nice. I've never been to the Pensacola Beach.
Yep. Been there.
You need to go.
done that.
I need to go.
Yes.
Well, I lived in Key West, so we went to the beach there,
Yeah,
and that's a nice
with the
beach.
chickens.
The roosters.
They're all chickens.
They're roosters too. You don't get roosters and chickens without roosters. That didn't make sense, but that's
No,
okay.
it didn't. Wait a minute, Leah. Can you tell us about your journey as a multi-genre author and how you developed your passion for writing?
Ooh. So, it started out in 2019. I started writing, I guess it would have been early 2020, COVID. We don't say that a lot, but I was home. I had survived ovarian cancer. I had a pretty big surgery. So I had a lot of time on my hands. And why not start writing? Always been a big reader. I mean, as a child, had that book walking around constantly. So I started writing, and I started with The Hidden. And it was kind of a hobby. It was just fun. I had no idea what I was doing. None, not a clue. And now 5 books later, I am. It brings me so much joy. I can't. It's just amazing to me
Wow.
that I'm doing this.
Wow. What do you mean by multi-genre?
So my first book was about vampires and werewolves. My second book was Christian romance.
Okay.
Actually, my third one. My first series, vampires, werewolves. My second, Christian
Wow.
romance. My third, historical fiction. And now I'm writing
She
mystery.
really is right across the board.
Yeah, really. It's everything.
It is everything.
And I love it.
What do you use for research?
So for Petunia 1949, the internet was huge because I was able to research the 40s and 50s Arkansas. But I went to Des Arc, and that's where I was born, in Arkansas, this little secondhand shop. And just so happened they had a stack of newspapers in there from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, on up to the 80s. And I bought a box of newspapers for $17.
That's so cool.
Wow.
That was such a good find. And I was able to put in like realistic clothing.
That's what I was just going to ask you about the fashions.
Yes, the fashion, the shoes, all these different
Oh.
things that I was able to find in this newspaper, the different ones I've read. Just so much info. And I think it made the book more realistic, honestly.
Absolutely. And I love the shoes. Love the shoes. A good pair of stilettos makes all the difference.
Stilettos.
Yes. A good pair of stilettos.
I always trip and fall in them
Me too.
myself.
Oh.
Me too.
I don't. My mother's convinced I was born with stilettos.
I'm
So is my
clumsy.
husband.
Big old clumsy girl right here. So.
Oh, no, I love stilettos.
Well, what do you mean by clean books with a purpose?
Okay, so I have my cousin had a stillborn baby 18 years ago. And Tanya, which was Keaton's mother, wrote me a little note and asked me to use Keaton's name in one of my books. That's when I was working on my werewolf books. Happened to be right there on the beach, Pensacola. And I'm cruising around. I'm like, Keaton, what can I do to include her name in a book?
Wow.
But I didn't want to use the vampire books. And the beauty of the ocean and just everything surrounded me, that's when I came up with Keaton's Journey. And it is a book about a very angry, bitter woman who she has to understand what forgiveness is to get her life back on track. And so I've started writing all my books with a purpose. I want them to help someone, even in a very small way.
Wow. Balancing a full-time job with telecommunications with your career must be real challenging. How do you manage your time, and how do you make all this happen?
I'm an early bird. So I'm up with the chickens.
Oh, I'm not.
I'm up sometimes
no.
at 4 a.m.
Oh, no.
I have my little spot. I have my coffee. I will get up, make my coffee. So I have an organized time. I get up in the mornings, I do my Bible study, and then I start writing. And I may write a few paragraphs. I might knock out a chapter before I start my day, my work day. So it's just staying organized. That one over there, my husband, if y'all can't see him.
Oh, applause.
If we're somewhere I don't want to be inside, like if we're going to get his hair cut or something, I will sit in the car and I use OneDrive. So while he's waiting to get his hair cut, I'm on OneDrive and I'm typing up chapters, or I might do a little editing. So I'm constantly thinking of writing. It
So
doesn't
you're
stop.
capturing the moment.
Every moment.
Every moment.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
That is terrific.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I don't get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's
Yeah,
my
but
first bathroom
it's
run.
an interesting way
That's
of
it.
of making your time
Absolutely.
work for you.
But I do the other end because I don't like to go to bed before 10, 11 o'clock at night. So I'm up, and there's nothing that says I'll be up at my computer at 10 o'clock at night doing whatever it is that I need to be doing, answering emails or doing whatever. So I do the other end,
You're the
I'll
night
get
owl.
up. I got up at 5:45 every morning for 39 years. That was good enough for me. I taught school. You had to be there by 7:30, 7:15 sometimes. So no, there was no getting up any earlier than I will lay in bed till 8 o'clock, just to lay in bed until 8 o'clock. So I don't have to get up because I won't get up. Mm-mm.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's my
no.
peaceful time. It's quiet in the house.
That's true. It is
No
quiet.
one's
But
up.
yeah,
It's
there are
just
no kids
peaceful.
now. It's just like it's always quiet in the house
I've
now.
retired 3 times, and now I'm up to 9 o'clock in bed.
No, I like staying up late. I watch TV.
I do too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So when you're doing some of your best practices of writing, what are some of them that like how do you construct your stories? How do you outline? Do you do bullet points? Do you
Both.
both?
With my job, I have to be organized.
Mm-hmm.
So that has bled over into my writing life. So I will start off with my bullet points
Mm-hmm.
and then I outline. Like right now, I have bullet points and outline on a project I'm working on. So I do both.
And how do you make the decision of what you're going to write?
This might sound silly, but it hits me in my heart.
Okay.
I don't know. It just, boom, it hits me and I'm ready to write that story because I have at least 10 right now that I have laid out. And I have a spreadsheet with my ideas. So
That's organization.
That's organization.
Yes,
Yep,
it is.
that is. But
It-
that's wonderful because that's how you get things done.
Well, that's it. I often, working through the years, I always kept that notepad by my bed
mhm.
to write those things down. But that truly is being organized,
It is.
and that makes you more efficient.
It does.
So
I have
that
my
you can-
calendar on my desk. And on my calendar, I have the things that I want to get done each day, and I have them listed out. And then sometimes if it's not each day, it'll be at least by the week, depending upon how big the project is. So I'll have them by the week also. So, I have I have 6 projects and I know when I want to get them done. And that's how I have them organized. But yeah, so reading. What do you need? You said you sit where to do your reading?
So I
Do your writing?
So I have an office, but for some reason I've landed on the end of our sectional. It's comfortable. So I've got my light, I've got everything I need right there, and I just write with my coffee and my laptop. Have to have my coffee.
Reading is often seen as a source of inspiration for writers. Can you tell us about your reading habits and how they influence your writing process?
So before I started writing, I read constantly. I was more of, I tell you, Christy Barrett, she writes, clean, just fiction, and she's all over the place about like me. I've read so many of her books, it's unreal. And then Patricia Bradley, she's not too far from me. I've read a lot of her work. So I will pick a series and I will try to stick with it. I want to read them all. I want to know what happens.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll pick one author and I'll read them all.
Yes.
I just read this last week was Ray Bradbury.
I love him.
Okay. His whole writing thing started because he was reading.
Mm-hmm.
So his mom and his, I guess, an aunt
Mm-hmm.
read to him started reading to him when he was 3 or something.
Mm-hmm.
They read every Grimm fairy. They read every myth and story. And so by the time he was 9 and 10, he knew every Roman story and myth and Greek myth there was. And that put him on his path to writing.
Reading is what will do it every
Yeah.
time.
And it
That
was all
is
about
exactly. That's exactly what it does every single time.
Family seems to be an important part of your life.
We can get to family in a moment. You're supposed to be doing.
You're listening to The Author's Edge with Gael Freer and Bob Price, coming to you weekly on Saturdays at 10 a.m. on KWRH 92.9 and KXOK 102.9 FM, and Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. nationwide on My Genre Radio Network. And you can watch all of our past shows on our website, authors-edge.com. And you can download the tips and tricks of all your writing needs, too.
I'm impressed. You could read my handwriting. My husband can't read my handwriting.
No. Yeah.
We've been married for 34 years, and he still looks at my grocery list like, what is this? You are not a doctor. I'm not kidding. I'm impressed. So, marketing tips?
Well, I do have.
You did your homework.
There's 9 proven
Yay!
marketing steps that successful authors use to promote their books and become bestsellers. I'm going to give you 5 of them. You go on our website, and I'll fix it so there's a download for you. You can get the rest of them. But creating a author's website and a blog. Have you got one, Leah?
Absolutely.
All right.
Oh, what is your website?
LeahBrewerAuthor.com.
And your blog is the same thing?
It's on there. The
Okay.
Leah Journal.
This establishes your author platform and allows you to share updates, excerpts, interviews, optimize your site for SEO,
What is SEO?
search engine optimization, so you can get found by Google.
Oh,
So
Google
your
is
name
your
and book
friend.
title are up in the searches. Build an author platform before your book launches.
You have one of those? An author platform?
Well,
Kinda?
do you have an author's page on Amazon?
I do.
There you go. That's your author
Okay.
platform.
Then absolutely.
And you
And what about Goodreads? Do you have one on Goodreads?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
well
I
then
do
you
have that.
Then you have one.
So run pre-orders and ARCs. So the ARCs are really about having a committee of friends and family that can promote your book.
Right.
And then pre-orders, offer advanced reader copies to get reviews ready for launch. Run pre-orders several months in advance to boost initial sales rankings, get early reviews, send advanced reader copies to book reviewers and influencers in your genre 2 to 3 months before your launch date, and ask for reviews, post them on your book sales pages, and really set it up so that you can get them to Amazon.
Right. So all your
Because-
books are on Amazon.
Yes.
Can you purchase your books in Barnes and Nobles as well?
On their website. Yes.
Okay.
We have a Barnes and Noble coming to Jonesboro. Ours was hit by the tornado in 2020,
Uh-huh.
and they are rebuilding, and it is set for November, and I cannot wait.
Oh, that's
Oh,
great.
wow.
That's wonderful.
They're
I wish we would have.
always great, like a coffee shop, and
Yes, I'm
and-
so
Yes.
excited.
yeah,
I miss having a bookstore in Poplar Bluff. I really do.
line up a book tour. Schedule
Did you have you
meetings.
done book tours?
Yes, I did a book tour with Petunia 1949.
Oh, great.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes.
And you're doing a great radio show too.
That's right.
That's right.
I believe the name of the show is called what now? Author's Edge.
Yes, that confused me. Optimize your book sales pages. Have an eye-catching cover, strong hook, polished blurb, author bio, reviews on your Amazon, B&N, Kobo, etc. pages.
Okay. Now we were starting to ask Leah about how family plays a part in her books. So tell us about that.
So my Seeds of Faith, so my Keaton's Journey and Sylvia's Journey, I have those 2 out in
Keaton's Journey.
this one here.
That's this one.
So Keaton is named after the stillborn baby, my
Mhm.
cousin's baby. And interestingly, my husband and I, before we were married, we went to her funeral together. Never would have dreamed that 18 years later, I would honor her memory by a book.
Right.
I put Keaton's brother, his name is Alvin, which was my brother that I lost when I was 12.
Oh.
So I went from there to the second book, Sylvia's Journey. Sylvia is my hairdresser. But anyway, I love her. She's like family. And Alvin is her love interest in the second book.
Oh.
And the third book, which is a Christmas story coming out later this year, the main character is Frankie.
Frankie.
And my grandmother, her name was Frances, and everyone called her Frankie. So now we will have a Frankie's Journey.
Wow. So you've taken your family and friends and you've used their names as a little way to remember, pay homage to, have
Yes.
significance.
My grandmother's name was Leo.
Leo.
So that doesn't work real good.
That's an interesting
But
name.
but I will say that my husband does the same thing. In some of he does children's books, and in some of his children's books, there are family members' names in there, and he does that too. Yeah,
I think most writers do, but this one here,
Petunia, 1949.
this book was inspired by the life of my mother.
Oh.
She was born in the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
I was a late in life baby. I was her sixth child in a happy accident, I guess you could say. But she was happy that I was here because I was the only girl. So I lost her 20 years ago this year, and her nickname was Petunia. So this book was inspired by her life. It's totally fiction, but it has some of the bedtime stories she used to tell me sprinkled into this book. And of course, I blew them like way out of proportion and just,
Wow.
That's a great
know,
cover, too.
But it's a
But-
lovely cover.
this was my mother
I love it.
when she was a teenage girl. in
Isn't
the
that cool?
40s.
Where'd she live? In Arkansas?
Arkansas, yeah.
Arkansas. Where in Arkansas?
Des Arc
Des Arc.
and
Yes.
Tyronza. She lived in a few places once she got married.
Okay.
Chicago for a short time, and that's in the book. The Korean War's in this book, but
What is it? Everybody in North Arkansas moved to Chicago at one point or another.
I
I
don't
guess they
know.
just didn't want it, got tired of picking cotton.
I guess so.
that's
yeah.
exactly
I
what
guess.
she did.
Oh, she
Yeah.
picked cotton too?
Yes, she did.
I grew up in suburbia America. I grew up in New York. Long Island is where I grew up. Okay. Cotton was not part, unless it was made into clothing. That was the closest I got to cotton.
I had a cousin that moved to Chicago. And when he got to Chicago, the teachers had him going class to class explaining about cotton and how clothes are made.
Oh
and
my gosh.
cows and cattle and
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh, he
really.
must have loved that.
oh yeah.
All right. Well, we now I have a quote from this story, Petunia, that I'd like to share. Hot tears threatened to fall as her eyes searched Lloyd's. Am I Daddy's kid? Sure you are. Don't let his rantings bother you none. He reached over and ruffled her hair. Now go back to bed. But Daddy don't think I'm his kid. Her voice came out flat, even to his own ears. Lloyd's shoulder grazed, half shrugged. Who cares what he thinks? I sure don't. And if you ask me, you're lucky if you ain't his kid. What does that mean? What does that tell us?
So in that passage, Petunia, as a younger girl, she was a teenager at this point, she overheard her parents arguing. So they're out back and she's sitting, inside. She heard them arguing and she come away from that conversation feeling like she did not belong to her dad. And her brother was just like, blowing it off, trying to make her feel better. So it's that was a big part of the novel, was Petunia's relationship with her father. He wasn't home a lot.
Right. I want to get more into that,
Okay.
but we have to go to a commercial break. So let's go to that, and then we'll hear more about the quote and talk more about Petunia.
Sounds great.
Thank you. We shall be back.
El Potro Restaurant and Market, located at 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland, offers the finest variety of Mexican and Central American groceries and goods. El Potro Restaurant serves authentic Mexican and Central American cuisine, including daily specials, not to mention the best horchata and tastiest margaritas in St. Louis. Open 7 days a week. El Potro, 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland.
Folks, it's time to let You've Got Maids focus on cleaning your home so you can focus on life. Whether you need weekly, bi-weekly, one-time cleaning, your home will be cleaned to your highest expectations. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. You can get a free no-obligation estimate today. See how little it can cost to have all of your house cleaning needs met by You've Got Maids and their trained maids. All you have to do is go to you'vegotmaids.com, enter your zip code and a little bit of information about your dwelling, and they'll come back immediately with a free estimate. You've Got Maids offers cleaning services ranging from deep cleaning to simple everyday cleaning on a schedule that matches yours. Live well, laugh often, love much. Stop cleaning your house. Turn it over to You've Got Maids at you'vegotmaids.com. Are you a company who needs help recruiting and hiring full-time professionals in the areas of engineering or information technology? Then call Steve Tucker at Talent Edge. Steve has over 25 years experience in recruiting as a partner and can really give you the edge you need. Also, calling all candidates looking for new opportunities in engineering or IT. Steve will help match your skill set to the right opportunity. 314-276-0074 or check out Talent Edge at talentedgellc.net. Once again, 314-276-0074. Talent Edge.
Okay, welcome back, folks. We are talking to Leah Brewer about her books, and the latest one is Petunia, 1949. And she was starting to tell us about the quote that I just read. And could you elaborate a little bit more on Lloyd and Petunia? Because Petunia is the name of the character that we were just talking about, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's her nickname, and that's what everyone called her in the book was Petunia. And Lloyd was her brother. And Petunia had overheard that conversation, and she's really down. She had always felt like her dad did not treat her with the same love and affection as the other kids.
How many other kids?
There was 2 girls plus Petunia, and then 2 boys.
So
one of the
5.
boys had passed away. Yes. One of the boys had passed away in the Warren tornado, which was an actual thing. I researched it and found that. But so it left Lloyd as the only boy. And then she had her 2 sisters. And she just felt left out. She craved that love. And that was part of her, her inner conflict was trying to figure out what was wrong with her. What made her father not love her the way he loved the other kids. And, her goal was to find a man who would love her. She wanted someone to love her. And that was a lot of her problem in the book starting out.
Okay, what does it say about Lloyd's character that he dismisses her father's rantings and tries to reassure her?
So Lloyd, he was a little bit, I hate to say goofball, but he didn't know how to, and a lot of people back in the 40s in Arkansas, they didn't know how to have a conversation that
had depth.
Yes, it was like, ooh, let's back away from
feelings.
this. This might, get deep and might be uncomfortable. So let's just nip this in the bud and laugh at it,
Keep it superficial.
Yes, let's laugh it off. He dearly loved his sister, and that's why he's like, who cares if you ain't his kid? I sure don't. That was his way of trying to give her a little comfort.
Mm-hmm.
So how does his gesture of ruffling her hair communicate comfort and support?
I had 5 brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how often they would ruffle my hair, try to, put me in a headlock and do my hair, and I'd walk away looking,
Not
my hair standing
guys.
like this. And I used my own experience with brothers and included that in there because I got my hair ruffled a lot.
Did you do that with your sister? Were you the older?
I was older.
Yeah.
We were separated a lot.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm on one coast. I'm in the Mississippi area. She's in
Oh.
another area. It was the life of being around my dad, a Marine.
Uh,
Mm.
See, I was the oldest of three, so I didn't get my hair ruffled very often. Now, I did thump on my brother a few times until my brother got bigger than me, and then he thumped on me a few times. So, but there was no ruffling of hair for us. So
Does Lloyd's half shrug indicate a nonchalant attitude towards her father's opinions
Yes.
or a lack of concern for her doubts?
He didn't care much for his father. He
why
was
was that?
he was absent a lot. He would go
Why
off.
was he absent?
He was looking for work or doing other things that we learn, we uncover as the book goes on.
Well,
But
we don't want to give too much away.
he was out and about a lot. So Lloyd would have to step up.
And be the dad,
Yes,
be the man.
yes, he would.
Yeah, that makes it very difficult for the young man.
Mhm.
It really does. So, what does Lloyd mean when he suggests that she's lucky if she's not her father's child?
Because of their strained relationship.
Uh-huh.
You know, Lloyd was like, he couldn't have cared less if he did not belong to his dad. Because, you know, Lloyd wanted to be a good man. He wanted to be the type of father that he did not see Oliver, which was the dad,
Mhm.
being. So Lloyd, they just had that friction, and it was a very rough relationship.
So now it was a typical 40s type household where mom stayed home, raised the children, dad went out and did the work. Am
They
I
would stay
correct?
home, raise the children, but they also worked the cotton fields.
Oh,
So
that-
they weren't
I
really.
was just going to ask that.
Yeah.
Were they
Okay.
around the cotton fields? a
Yes.
lot?
Yeah.
And
so mom picked cotton.
Absolutely. Mom and kids.
Mom and kids picked cotton, and dad did whatever
Dad did whatever.
he felt
My-
like doing.
My
Yes.
aunt was the national cotton picking contest winner in
Oh, wow.
Blytheville, Arkansas.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
Mhm.
wow.
That's a little tidbit of information you
That-
can put aside.
Yeah. Really put aside. Yes. Does Lloyd's response reflect a belief that biological parentage is not the sole determinant of family and belonging?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, and I hold that belief. So, you know,
Yeah,
as a writer, you're gonna, little things that you feel are gonna come out.
absolutely.
So-
That your own personal beliefs will
Mhm.
come out in the way you construct a story.
Yes.
You know, the interesting part that I relate to is that being on the farm, raising cotton, raising crops for a living, it's an interesting scenario or an experience. And because, I mean, you don't have things to do in the wintertime, you have to figure out things to make money and make a living doing in the wintertime.
Mhm.
And at the crops, and I mean it's a tense experience.
I would think so.
I mean, I can think of my grandfather. I mean, basically, what was it? They must have rented 500 acres, 600 acres from the mayor of Blytheville, Arkansas, and the judge. He was a judge. But I mean, it's just the relationship between living on a farm is hard.
Mhm.
It's a hard life,
Yes.
you know.
I one of the writers that I used to like to teach was Willa Cather. And Willa Cather writes about Nebraska. Now it's not cotton, it's wheat fields.
Yeah.
But it's the same concept. It's the same concept of how hard it is to raise that wheat.
Live an
and-
agricultural life.
Absolutely. Live
Yeah.
that agricultural and not have anything to do during the winter and have to be able to make sure that what you earn in the summer from your crop will sustain you during your winter months.
I remember my uncle used the bean wagons, as we call them, the bean trucks to move people during the winter.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, it was, a way to make a life happen. There's still continue.
Now you've written two, or actually you've said you've written 5 books total. Okay, so Petunia 1949. Why is it called Petunia 1949?
So with the book being inspired by my mother, which her name was Rose, her nickname was Petunia.
Why Petunia?
I don't have any idea, honestly. My aunt, my dad's sister, gave her that nickname. They had known each other for years. I don't know why she did it, and I wish that's something I'd ask my mother.
Because it's a pretty little flower.
Yes, I wish I knew. I wish I'd asked her before she passed on, but I didn't. But my Aunt Vivian was her name. She'd say, Petunia. And, you know, the way she'd crease that brow, Petunia. And I can still remember that. So I just wanted to go with Petunia. And 1949 is the year it starts. So that's when, you know, chapter 1, we're in 1949, Arkansas.
And is any special reason why 1949 though?
I did not want to start it in 1950. I just, in my own head, I didn't want to. I wanted it to start earlier.
There to me, in my mind, there was a difference between the 40s and the 50s.
And there is, absolutely.
Yeah.
There really, you're absolutely right. It's like, I don't like buying a car in an odd year. So, but I did. So I understand that.
You were talking about how she called her Petunia.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, I can remember grandmother calling, you know, it was always Bob. I can't imagine why that boy went and done that.
Oh, I love it. No, my favorite is when we would visit my husband's family, and he had a cousin, and he would say, well, they called him, his name is Ralph Wayne, but they'd call him Wayne. They would say, Wayne, now you got yourself a young in this town now, didn't you? And I would bowl over laughing. It was the funny, but they call him Wayne, and it was just that twang. Oh my gosh.
My brother's name is Ralph Wayne, so that's funny.
Oh my. That's a popular name.
Must be a great person.
He just turned 60.
Oh, well, this one's a tad bit older. Just a tad bit. Tell us about your other books. You said you had 5.
Yes, so The Hidden and The Missing, those are my vampire werewolf books. I wrote those because I've always been kind of a weirdo with you know.
No, geeky.
My husband back there saying amen, let me clap. And to finding books that I can read, because I don't read stuff that has a lot of filthy language, really anything inappropriate. I don't want to read about that. So that's what prompted me to write my first book. I had a lot of time on my hands, and I wanted to give people something clean that they could read that has the weirdo stuff in it, the vampires, the werewolves, the random things that, you know.
Yeah.
Just
A lot
fun.
of kids love that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just silly.
So do you believe in vampires
No.
or werewolves?
No. I just think
I'm just
it's fun.
asking.
I just think it's fun.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
something to just step away from reality for a minute.
Yep.
And, you know, that's why I wrote those two.
And and what's the storyline?
You never see werewolves in cotton fields.
Well, that's
So,
true.
Man, I should have put some in cotton fields, maybe a later book.
There's your next book.
So those two, I had no idea what I was doing. I just dove in. I put too many characters in it. And I see that now as I go back. I'm like, my goodness, what was I trying to do? Which they're not all main characters, but it's about a woman who loses her uncle, and he was her only living family member. And she has to come back home to Moon Lake, Arkansas.
Moon Lake.
Yes.
I like
And
that. Moon
Dill,
Lake.
because she inherited his lodge. His best friend was there, who just so happens to be a vampire. So that's where it starts, and they're trying to figure out what's going on in the town and find her missing mother. So yeah.
Do you ever hear of the show called Dark Shadows?
I've heard of it.
That was a show. That was a TV show during the 60s, 70s. I used to watch it. It was the thing that I would watch when I came
Is that
home.
what happened to you?
Yes, it was. When I would come home from school, it was what was on TV. It was
That's right.
it was Dark Shadows, and it was vampire. It was such a cool show. And when you're talking about her coming back and having to find her mother, it reminded me of Dark Shadows. That was such a great show. It really was. I would make sure I was home in time to watch that. Yeah. And then the other books.
So Keaton's journey. Keaton is a woman. She'd lost her mother in a fire. She blamed her father. She moves off and she stays gone for 10 years. And she has a bitterness inside that it's hard for her to deal with. So she is completely focused on her career. She wanted to climb up the corporate ladder as far as she could. And that is where she thought her happiness would lie. But she found out it really didn't. So her brother, Alvin, contacts her. Their dad had a stroke and he needed her back home to Pensacola. And she fought it, but in the end, she went back to Pensacola. And that's where she met a preacher. And, you know, things just moved on from there. She started studying her Bible. And she finally understood maybe forgiveness is what she needed after all. And not the hatred and bitterness she carried so long.
Was her father to blame?
No.
Well, that's good to know.
Yes.
I'm
no.
kind of glad because that would really bother me.
Yes. No, he was not to blame.
It's being in Pensacola with all those no-see-ums. That
Oh
bothers me.
gosh, yeah. Those those tiny little no-see-ums, you know, those little bugs.
Those aren't tiny.
They're supposed to. Yeah, they're tiny.
That's
why they're called no-see-um.
Yeah,
that's why they're called no-see-ums. You don't see them.
And they bury right in.
Yeah,
And
they're
they
awful.
itch like
Oh
crazy.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, no seals can feel them stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
no-see-ums can feel them.
okay.
Yeah, they're horrible. Horrible.
Little bloodsuckers.
Horrible.
You mean you've been down to Pensacola and you're not having experienced the no-see-um things?
No.
No? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right. So we're going to do another show identifier. You're listening to The Author's Edge with Gael Freer and Bob Price, coming to you weekly on Saturdays at 10 a.m. on KWRH 92.9 and KXOK 102.9 FM, and Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. nationwide on My Genre Radio. And you can also watch all of our past shows on our website at authorsedge.com and download tips and tricks for your writing needs. And I have some publishing tips. Ooh. As a author published, I don't like saying self-published because it just doesn't have a fun sound to it.
But it is
Author
fun.
published, yeah. Author published sounds so much better. There are several important things. The first thing, the most important thing, is quality. Has to be good quality. That means you have to make sure it's well written, that it's professionally edited, that it's properly formatted, and invest in those things. You cannot spend too much money on those items.
Agree.
Your cover needs to be eye-catching.
The cover is the most critical thing
Yep.
in being an author.
Yep.
And it's all
Yep.
about that book is going to stand out.
Yep. Eye-catching.
And that's
Petunia is
eye-catching.
eye-catching.
With a bag. It
Yeah.
makes you ask
Why?
why.
Yep. Absolutely.
Where are you
And not
going?
only that, but look at this. Not only do you want to know where is she going, you want to know who she
Point
is.
it that way.
Where is she going? Who is she?
Yep.
And what is it the same person?
hidden.
Is it somebody that she's
Secret.
thinking about? You want to know. You want to know. That's exactly right. It's got to be eye-catching. You have to understand your target audience. You know, if you're writing a cookbook, you're not doing it for, 3-year-olds. Okay? Effective self-editing. Professional editing is important, but also edit yourself as well. Don't expect an editor to catch your grammar errors. You need to do your grammar errors yourself. Okay? That's why there's something called Grammarly.
Yes.
Use it.
Yes.
It's a good thing.
AI, Chat GPT.
All of them.
Yeah.
Learn about book formatting, understanding that you know the different formats of your book, how you can do an ebook, you can do a hard copy, you can do a soft copy. Learn about those things. And then distribution and publishing platforms, explore them, understanding that You have Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. You have Ingram Sparks for a broader reach.
Mhm.
Do your research on those items. So make sure you take a look at those. And then in our next show, I will have more things to talk about. So, next, which of your characters is most likely to be an activist?
Whew.
Or
Petunia.
what kind?
I would say definitely Petunia.
Yeah.
Why? You will find in Petunia 1949. I mean, we're in Arkansas. We're in the 40s and 50s. There was a lot of racial tension. I mean, it was worse than tension. If we want to lay it all on the table. And Petunia had a little friend named Opal that was had different skin color. And when Petunia and Opal got a little bit older, they reconnected. At that point in their lives, it was not as easy to be friends. I mean, not at all.
Because of race.
Yes, absolutely. Because of race. We had the KKK that was active in Arkansas. So Petunia did not understand the difference.
Rightfully so.
Why would someone dislike Opal?
Who's a sweet person.
Yes. Yeah. So Petunia loved her friend dearly. So she would have absolutely been an activist in the civil rights movement.
Absolutely. If you were to do a spin-off of a side character, who would it be?
Opal would be a major character I would love to dive into. I actually had a Goodreads review saying I would love to see Opal's story. And I was on that same page. And when it hits me, when I'm ready, I will.
You do
Lord willing.
a thing on Opal. That'll be great.
Have you ever traveled for research for your book?
Yes. Pensacola Beach a few times.
You like that beach.
I do.
Evidently.
Yeah.
I do. Des Arc. I was born and raised in Des Arc, Arkansas, but I haven't lived
Where's
there.
that located?
So it is. Do you know where Hazen, Arkansas is, going towards Little Rock? Stuttgart, Hazen, which Stuttgart's a little. So
Okay, give us a main highway. Now, if we were to
So it's got to be south of Jonesboro and
Highway 40,
Highway 40 from
Memphis.
Memphis.
Just keep on Highway 40 from Memphis and get off at
yeah,
Hazen.
it takes you right to Little Rock.
Yes,
Okay, so it's between Memphis
Side
and Little
40.
Rock.
Yeah.
yes, it's that direction.
Okay,
Oh,
Interstate 40.
okay, Interstate 40.
You get off
Because
at
I mean,
Hazen. Mhm.
as far as I'm concerned, all I see in my head is the map of it's like the outline,
No.
the border of Arkansas. That's all I see.
all that northern Arkansas area was all cotton.
Yeah,
Cotton was everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that was the other place that you traveled to.
I do. I have to go there a lot, and just reconnect. What's happened since I lived there? What are some things? How are they growing? Because I want to be very authentic in my books. I want it to be real.
Okay. What prompted you to enter the North Street Book Prize?
So I'm in a book club in Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Mhm.
Writers Inc. I'm a part of that club, and a lot of the ladies there, they are so encouraging and just wonderful. And they give you all this information, like here's this contest coming up, or here's this website. Go here and just see what's going on. So it's something I found from someone's recommendation, and I researched it, and it sounded great.
Mhm.
And
When do you find out the results?
February of 24,
Okay. Well, you have to let us know.
I will.
And
definitely.
when that happens, then we'll put you back on the show and we can talk about it again.
That sounds like a plan.
Doesn't that sound like? And maybe by then you'll have your next book done.
Yes. My Christmas story is with my editor now.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. That sounds great. What are your aspirations and goals as a writer?
So, it started as a hobby. Now, I would like to retire
Rich and famous, of course.
and become rich and famous.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah.
Rich and
Yeah.
famous?
Just rich and
Well, at
famous.
least
that's
rich.
it.
Beats the lottery.
Um, No, seriously, I want to impact people's lives. I want my books to help someone. One of the things I do at home is I go to the Senior Citizen Center once a week, and I'm reading them Petunia. And,
And do they like it?
They love it. They absolutely, their director said I was the best thing that had ever happened to the center. And of course, it makes me want to cry, get emotional. But as I'm reading Petunia, so many of them were like, wow, that takes me back. Because, you know, we have people in their 80s, their 90s
Right.
that sit and they will listen to me, and they are invested in Petunia. And that just makes me feel like it's all worth it, because I have grown to love these people at this senior center. They are amazing. So if my books can impact people and do some good, I'm happy.
You know, we talked about this. You mentioned it a few times, once, about the books that you read. Are there any particular authors or books that had a significant impact? I mean, how many books do you read a year?
Well, I was reading at least 30 to 50, not a lot, but
30 to 50 a year?
Mhm.
Oh my. She beat me.
Yeah, beat me.
Beat me big time.
So the Hunger Games series,
Oh, I love them.
I read that in it was just a few short days, but I glued myself. I was more than likely on PTO from work, and I glued myself. I'm like,
Oh, I love that book.
Yes.
I love the whole series.
Yes.
I saw all the movie. That is like one of my favorites.
Mine too.
One of my
Has it had
favorites.
any influence on you in the books you wrote?
I mean, a little, but not a whole lot, honestly.
Okay.
It's my life in general is what influences my writing. Just the people I meet from church.
Actually,
from
you
day in
know,
and day
I'm
out.
thinking what is a wonderful wealth for stories would be your senior citizen center.
Yes, I've actually already interviewed Miss Maggie. She is in her 90s. She's a Black woman. She lived through a lot of what is in Petunia. And I will tell you, I read a scene with the KKK last week, and I had to read that with her sitting across from me, like boring a hole through my head. And I'm just like, you know, the tension, I could feel it. And she told me afterwards, she was like, baby, that took me back. And she hugged me. She tells me she loves me because it is so real to her.
Yeah.
But I interviewed her for Opal's story when I'm ready.
I think that would be good. Yeah. Yeah. So I do believe we have come to the end of our show today.
We're near it.
We're near it.
It's interesting in talking about race. And I mean, it was really in those years from the 40s, 50s, 60s, even. What I have to share with you was I lived in California, born in California, grew up with, my grandmother's name was Reyes. So that tells you where I'm from. But you're around a lot of Spanish, Mexicans. I lived in Arizona. You're around a lot of Indians. I live back in Blytheville, Arkansas, and you're around a lot of Black people. The interesting thing that stuck in my mind was that what race was about, or the bigotry was about, or the hatred, it was about somebody wanting more power over other people. I don't think it's about color. I think it's about somebody wanting to be, I want to be smarter than you, and therefore you're less of a person than I am. And it's that power.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I swear, I saw that time and time again.
I don't know.
For some people, it may be.
For some people, it might be. Anyway. Thank you for tuning in to Author's Edge. Tune in again next week for more tips, resources, and your favorite conversations. Our next guest will be Mark Pennebaker, and we will be chatting about Spine Bookstore and Cafe, along with his book, Fraternity and Fractures. Till then, see you around the inkwell.
Thank
different companies, developers coming into the space. Jeremy Stefik of the National Renewable Energy Laboratory is an author of a recent report on the workforce needs of this growing industry. The report finds that offshore wind could create tens of thousands of jobs, but to fill them, people need to learn about the opportunities and